Guess what time it is? Infusion set change / how to. I am changing my pump case. And while I do that, I check for cracks. Just because I swim with it and I lifeguard. So, I've been told, so from the time it leaves the manufacturer, it is waterproof. For 24 hours up to, I think, 12 feet. So before I start my shift and whenever I change the pump case, I always look at the back and run my fingers over it, check the seams to make sure there's no cracks. I also check the front, but not as thoroughly because I check that every day. A lot of people, they say that they have issues with it cracking along the battery case, so hopefully that doesn't happen. If it does, I don't know what's going to happen. So I have two cases. I have the one that came with my pump, and then I have one that I bought off Amazon, which is a thicker silicone, and it's green, which is why I like it. So, while it is also site change day, it is also new vial of insulin. My favorite part is just popping that off. I literally just trimmed my nails too, so that's not gonna work. Haha, I have an idea. I can use the old reservoir. Haha. Excitement's over. Alright, so this is kind of gonna be like a how-to. So I've already taken off my old site because I took a shower. Old reservoir's already out. You're gonna want to hit your circle, and you're gonna want to go to reservoir and infusion set. Typically it'll start you here, but you want to hit the arrow button to go over. You want to hit the circle, and then it'll say new reservoir and set, new reservoir, set, or fill cannula. So I just do new reservoir and set, and I'll say rewind or remove the infusion set from your body. I do this last because a lot of times the insulin is still hasn't had time to absorb yet. So if I take it off early, it just comes out. So then you hit it next. Remove reservoir, so that's turning it and pulling it out. And then you hit rewind. So I rewound this before I got in the shower. And it's gonna say fill new reservoir, connect new tubing, do not connect to body. So we have already got our insulin. Make sure you have an alcohol swab. You're gonna want your reservoir, your infusion set. I use the MiniMed Surety 6mm needle at 32-inch tubing or 80 centimeters. So there's that. I also use skin tack. So I saw somebody said that when they use the Surety, they'll put the anchor site and then they'll move the actual needle around and just keep it in. So I did that with my last site and it actually worked pretty well. But I did put it in an awkward spot, so we're not going to talk about that. So, alcohol swab, rip, clean the bottle, and then when I clean the bottle, I also clean off my site. So I did my arm, I did my legs, so I'm just going to do my stomach. I don't know if I'm going to use skin tack tonight or not. I might not. So while that dries, open your reservoir. Make sure the plunger is kind of screwed in and not loose, but also don't screw it on so tight that you can't get it off. So, pop it on. Typically they say do it on a firm surface, but I just do it in my hands. And then I put my 2 fingers between the 2 bars and then I push up. And then I let it come back down by itself. Can you see that? Probably not. The lighting's really bad right now. So while that's filling, I shall pull out my infusion sets. It never tears as nicely as everybody else. Everybody else has like super satisfying like. So the Sure-T has 3 things that come in the package. It has the infusion set cover. So this goes on the infusion set whenever you disconnect to take a shower, go swimming, change your clothes or whatever. And then it has the tubing connector, and the reservoir connector. And then it has this piece. Now I think the reason it has an anchor piece, and only this one, is because it is a needle inside. So unlike the I actually don't know what material they're made out of. The flimsy filament cannulas, when they get pulled out, they can bend. Versus this one, it can't bend, so it does a lot more damage when it's pulled out. So you're gonna have this connecting piece, and you're gonna want to take it off, like you would disconnecting from an infusion set. And it's gonna come off with this little circle, and this connects right into that. And then I usually just pop this in a cup because I have so many. And then you would connect the 2 pieces. You would connect the tubing into the anchor site till it clicks, and your tubing is ready to be primed. Let's check on the insulin. And it is pretty much almost done. So they say that like if you look in like the little transfer guard, the gap between the 2, you can see air bubbles. And you can. It's just kind of hard and you have to look really hard. And then I always just like look around the bottom where like the plunger is, and I'll just like try and flick really hard to get the bubbles from there up. And then I just like push it up to put all the bubbles back into the vial, and then I pull it down to refill it. Okay, and we are done, bubble free. So then you flip it back over and you pull it out. And then you can go ahead and just twist this and pull it off. It will only twist one way. In the videos, they say to leave the plunger on, connect this, and push it up. I don't do that. It doesn't make sense for me. Just whenever I push it up, it always pulls itself back down, so I just ignore that step. So you want to take the top of it, you want to push it down. Well, find where, so you won't push it, it'll just kind of fall into place, and then you twist it to lock it. You'll feel it click twice, and it is in. And then you take it, and you put it, and you lock it. If you don't have a pump case on, you can see it kind of lines up with the battery. So now that that is inside, you can take it, wake the pump up, circle, reservoir and tubing, new set, next. You have to go through all this again. Next, next, and load. So what this does is it brings up the plunger in the pump up to the bottom of the reservoir, and it basically stops when it detects pressure. So that's why, like, if you watch the tubing when it comes up, you can see insulin shoot through the tubing when it's first detected, because it's detecting the pressure that it takes to push the insulin through the tubing. I am a nerd. I am sorry. I literally studied. I watched so many videos. Which is another reason why I'm making my own. So then you're going to hit next. And you're going to hit fill. So this tubing typically takes anywhere from 9 to 10.6, depending upon if there's bubbles in the tubing or not. So I'm going to grab my trash can. Ignore it. There's Diet Sprite can in there. And you're going to press and hold. You're not going to let go. Well, you'll let go when you see insulin come out of the cannula or the tubing connector if you don't have this. And insulin came out. So 10.2 units. Okay. So now that is done. So you're going to hit the arrow if that's done. And it'll say next, fill cannula. So, well, it says insert infusion set into body and then select fill cannula. So this one doesn't need to fill the cannula because it is the needle itself. And I actually did like kind of mess around with one of my friend's infusion sets. The cannulas for the other ones, the introducer needle actually sticks inside the cannula. So unlike I'm blanking so hard. Oh yeah, pull off this is the kind of like needle protector and just throw that away. I'm getting so sidetracked here. So the needle talking about the other infusion sets, the introducer needle goes inside the infusion set, unlike Dexcom's and the Guardian, where the introducer needle covers the filament that the sensor reads. So when you put the infusion set in your body, the needle comes out, the infusion set stays in. So because that needle is on the inside and not covering it, when you're filling the tubing and you have the cannula filled with, when you're filling it with the tubing, you're not actually filling the cannula, you're filling the needle. Or I think you're filling around the needle. So when you take out the introducer needle, there's a bunch of empty space left where that needle was. So that's why you need to fill the cannula. Versus with the steel needles, there's no introducer needle, there's no cannula that needs to be filled. So unless you drop this and you see like no insulin coming out, because like I can always see like it's kind of like bubbling at the end a little bit whenever I take off the needle cap, that it's just maybe you might need to fill it with like 0.2. So then you tear off the little adhesive tabs, and you always want to put this one in first and then this. I tried doing this one first and then this. It was a wreck for me. I mean, you can do it, you can try it if it works for you, but it doesn't. Oh yeah, so there's little wings on the back. So you can kind of pull those up to hold them and use that to kind of help guide and push it in. So I'm gonna do here, pinch up and in. And then I always just kind of like keep the fat pinched up while I smooth down the infusion set to make sure it sticks. And then I think I'm going to put this, where do I want this? I always think about like where I'm going to be having my pump and where it's going to be more comfortable. So when I first started the pump, I used to like, if I put it like on my arm or like the side of my stomach, I would just kind of like throw my pump off to the side. But now it's actually been pretty comfortable, just like keeping it clipped on the front. It hasn't been bad. So now that it's in, while I'm deciding where to put the anchor, I'm just gonna hit done. And we're done. So that has been refilled. And I will enter Smart Guard before I go to bed. So I've been having issues with the current sensor. It's been reading 20 points lower every once in a while. And it just kind of like irks me. Only because I think I came down with something sometime last week. So I was like sick. And then I didn't actually have ketone test strips because I ran out and I couldn't find any. And I put off ordering them on Amazon because I'm like, oh, I'll be able to find some. So I went to the Giant near where I work, and I went to the pharmacy and I'm like, hey, do you guys have any like ketone test strips? And backstory, when I had gone to Walmart, it was like 15 to I think 25 for a box of 30. It was expensive, but it was also the brand name Rely On. They had a box of 50 ketone test strips, urine ones. I'm not fancy enough for the blood one yet. I've been thinking about it, but seeing as that I just bought a bottle, I don't think so. For $10.50. I know where I'm, like, yeah, I have to go to the pharmacy to get them, but it's over the counter. I mean, I probably could get my insurance to cover them, but that's just one more thing. Okay, back to deciding where I'm gonna put this. I also, like, don't want it to... Oh yeah, when putting your anchor, some people say, like, you want to kind of, like, put it over the tubing next to the infusion site. You just want to make sure that there's, like, slack when you put it down. So you don't want it to be, like, tight or taut, I think is the other word. You want it to be, like, kind of loose so it has some give. I really need to use where can you put this so I can go to bed. Where will it be easier for me to access? I think right here, actually. So then you tear off the adhesive. I always grab it by both sides of the housing, whatever you call this. Normally people call it the cannula housing, but... Oh, yep, it's on. We're going up now. And it is on! Yeah. Ah! Yeah. It is on! So just kind of like make sure you like smooth it down and push it down to make sure the adhesive bands with your skin. So yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's slack right there. And it just kind of like goes around and up. Don't ask me, I'm weird. So now we're done. This goes here. Oh, I didn't use the skin tech. Oh well. And now, my lovely sharps container. So funny story, I actually can't use this. Oh wait, no, we can. I can use this one. I can use the Woolite and then the Arm & Hammer one. We had a brand from Costco that we used to use, and I never had a problem with it. But I also didn't live here at the time. So once I started living here and I started using it all the time, my clothes started getting like really itchy. So my grandmother had me use the one that my grandfather used, and I haven't had an issue since. So, booyah. Plunger. Bam. Transfer guard. Bam. Empty reservoir. Bam. I'm gonna turn this into 2 pieces. So yeah, this is how you disconnect it, because this is the old one. You just take it, and you pull it out. Shut up. Approaching low limit. Ugh. Yeah, that's why I turn the alerts off half the time when I go to sleep. Infusion set. Bam. Tubing. Bam. We're only halfway full. So this goes back in my shelf with everything else. Skin Tech goes over there. That's the insulin. Insulin I either put back in the fridge or I keep it room temp in my room. I think I'm gonna put it in the fridge, but I will do that tomorrow if I don't forget. And this goes on the shelf so I don't lose it, because I have a really bad habit of losing things. So that is it for tonight's video. I'm uploading this straight away. I am sorry for all the stuttering. I don't have a script. I didn't have it planned out. I'm just like, I'm gonna do it. So hopefully it's good. Probably not. I'll see you guys next time. If you're type 1, keep going, you're doing awesome. If you're not, keep going, you're doing awesome. Love you.